Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Jeremy Mushembapiri, and on today's topic I want us to just simply appreciate the life that we live here on earth. And so on today's topic we're going to be discussing someone very prominent in the Bible, and this is Joseph. And in the story of Joseph, we know that the scripture that stands out is the one that talks about his character. And the Bible tells us that until the Lord had tasted his character, that is when he saw his dreams fulfilled. And so that is exactly what we are going through in life. We need to know that God is testing our character. Everything that we do, the choices that we make, the decisions that we make are basically shaping the kind of life that we are going to live while here on earth. And so thank you very much for joining, and enjoy. The story of Joseph is basically found in the book of Genesis, and we're looking at him at a particular point in time in his life when he was living in the life of, in the house of Potter. So while he was living in this household, he was seen to have so much potential in him, and because of the potential that his master saw in him, he put him in charge of everything that his master owned. But then we see that as the story goes on, his master's wife begins also to fall for him, because she begins to see a whole different side of his potential. And this is a message that came to me, that I came across, or rather that hit me during yesterday's service at church. So he talked about it in terms of how Joseph was put in charge of his master's household. And basically this is something that we need to understand as we go through life. God has put us in charge of basically his wealth, and this is the same position that Joseph was in. God has given us the opportunity to live on this earth, not to worry about anything. And that's why in the Bible, in the book of Matthew, he talks about us not worrying about anything, but instead praying about everything that we need, telling God what we need, and he is going to provide. Because when Joseph was put in charge of his master's property, Joseph did not have to go around looking for food to eat. He didn't have to go around looking for what to do in terms of providing for the household, because his master had already put all those things in place, and Joseph's role was simply to make sure that everything was utilized in the right way, which is basically our role here on earth. Many a time we worry about what we're going to eat tomorrow, what we're going to wear, and all sorts of things, forgetting that God has simply put us in charge of the things that he has already provided. God is the master. He's the one who owns the household that we live in. We are basically managing what he has given us. So as a manager, you don't need to worry about the finances, where they're coming from, what does my master do, how much more of this kind of lifestyle do I have left for me. Basically, our role, our job is to make sure that we manage those finances that have been availed to us in a proper way, which is the lesson that we learn from this particular portion of Joseph's life, where we see that he was in charge of everything because of the potential that his master saw in him, because of the value that he brought to his master's household. But then we see also that in life we need to have limits. And so when his master's wife came through to try and tempt him and say, hey, I want to lay with you, Joseph had to run away, because he knew that in spite of me being put in charge of all these things, I have my limits. And that is exactly what we need to realize, that in spite of God calling us to this life that we're living, we need to have our limits. We need to know where we need to stop. We don't just need to do things for the sake of. I love how Paul puts it. He says everything is permissible, but not everything is beneficial. Meaning you can do whatever you want to do, but at the end of the day, not everything is going to be beneficial for you. There are certain things that you're going to do that are just simply going to tear you down, things that are going to mess you up, things that are going to set you away from your purpose on earth. Okay, so in order for you to achieve your purpose, in order for you to live a life that is fulfilled, you need to realize this simple fact. When you realize that you don't need to worry about tomorrow, what you're going to eat, and all that, you're going to realize that life is even more worthwhile, because you spend less time worrying and knowing that God has already provided for me. All I need to do is simply maneuver and work around what God has already availed to me. And that is basically what is going to keep you going. And that is my encouragement this morning, that as you go through life, do not worry. Basically, do what God has called you to do. We are in charge here. He says in Genesis, when he created us to basically be in charge of all creation. So God created all creation, and he put us as human beings in charge, which is the simple example we're learning from the life of Joseph. He came into a house where his master had already worked for everything, food was already provided, and all the wealth was already there. His role, his job was simply to manage the resources that were available to him. And we see this even at another level. When he moves from Potiphar's house, after he's been accused of rape, he's taken to jail. After being in jail, he translates certain dreams, and then we see him now being transformed from the prison. He is summoned now by Pharaoh, where he finds himself now in Egypt, doing the same role basically that he was doing in the house of Potiphar, but now on a bigger scale. Now he's running the entire city of Egypt, the entire country rather, the entire region of Egypt, because of that potential that he had. And that is basically what God does. If you are faithful in the small things, be rest assured that there are greater and bigger things coming your way. So just keep on believing in God and keep on acknowledging that God is the one who gives us the energy to produce wealth. He's the one who provides everything that we need. All we need to do is just simply manage those resources the right way, and we're going to enjoy our stay here on earth. So thank you so much for taking the time to read, to come through and visit the channel. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more of such content. And yeah, thank you so much once again for your time. Take care.